Si Hyuk finally exposes the truth about Jungkook's new contract. But why did Taehyung refuse to return? The revelation sent shockwaves across the entire music industry. Si Hyuk has finally broken the silence surrounding Jungkook's new contract, a revelation that not only clarifies years of speculation but also ignites even more controversy. The news, however, takes an even darker turn with one pressing question that has left fans unsettled. Why did Taehyung refuse to return, and what lies beneath this dramatic divide inside BTS? The explosive information did not emerge in fragments. It arrived like a sudden strike, with Si Hyuk pulling back the curtain on an issue that has haunted the group's future for years. Jungkook, the youngest member of BTS, has long been positioned as the group's powerhouse, carrying both global attention and immense pressure. Yet, the contract that ties him to the label has been at the center of endless whispers. Now, for the first time, the truth has been laid bare, and the details expose an uncomfortable reality. Jungkook has signed an agreement that many believe could reshape not only his career but the fragile bonds among the members. The weight of this revelation is not merely contractual. Fans are asking, why did Jungkook agree to terms that others, particularly Taehyung, chose to reject? The question becomes more haunting when considering the silent resistance displayed by Taehyung. His refusal to rejoin under the new conditions is not a minor act of hesitation. It is a bold declaration, a clear signal that something within the system remains broken. Behind closed doors, the negotiations reportedly stretched for months, marked by intense discussions about control, creative freedom, and the relentless demands placed upon the members. Jungkook, often described as both loyal and burdened, was caught between personal desire and the enormous expectations of millions. In the end, he accepted a path that secured his position but raised doubts about the costs to his autonomy. Meanwhile, Taehyung's stance grew firmer. He would not return under a framework that failed to protect his artistic and personal identity. This is where the fracture becomes undeniable. The tension is no longer speculation. It is written into the choices of the members themselves. Jungkook's decision to move forward and Taehyung's refusal to comply are not isolated actions. They are contrasting responses to the same oppressive weight of control. Armies worldwide are left divided, torn between admiration for Jungkook's endurance and empathy for Taehyung's rebellion. Why would Si Hyuk reveal this now? Why expose the delicate truth about Jungkook's contract when the group's unity is already under strain? Some see it as an act of transparency, while others interpret it as a calculated move to maintain authority, reminding both the members and the public who truly holds the power. The unsettling reality is that timing matters, and this disclosure lands at a moment when every action, every silence, carries enormous consequence. What complicates the narrative further is Taehyung's silence. He has not spoken in grand gestures, yet his refusal speaks louder than any words. By rejecting the new terms, he forces fans and the industry to confront uncomfortable truths. Is the system designed to elevate the artists or to exploit them until exhaustion? The refusal itself becomes a weapon, exposing cracks that no revelation could hide. Meanwhile, Jungkook is left in an impossible position. His acceptance of a contract does not signify agreement with every clause. It signifies a compromise that he may have had no choice but to make. For the youngest member, the stakes are always higher. His image, his career, his global influence, all are intertwined with decisions that reach far beyond personal comfort. His signature may represent survival rather than satisfaction. But how long can survival sustain him before it transforms into resentment? The industry's silence around Taehyung's rejection is equally telling. By refusing to return under the contract, he challenges not only HYB's structure, but also the perception of obedience that has followed idols for decades. His resistance breaks a pattern, turning him into a symbol of defiance. Yet the cost of such defiance is severe. The lack of clarity about his next move only fuels speculation, Will Taehyung distance himself further, or will he push back with an even more dramatic stand? Fans, meanwhile, are left to wrestle with their own questions. Should they support Jungkook for bearing the unbearable, or rally behind Taehyung for his act of courage? The split is not just about contracts. It is about loyalty, freedom, and the future of BTS itself. Each choice reflects deeper struggles that extend beyond music, touching upon human dignity and the consequences of submission versus resistance. The emotional toll on the fandom is undeniable. Across social media, armies cry out in frustration, some defending Jungkook's decision while others demand justice for Taehyung. The emotional storm grows with every unanswered question. Why reveal Jungkook's truth, but leave Taehyung's silence hanging? Why secure one member's loyalty while losing another's? And most dangerously, what does this mean for the survival of BTS as a whole? The landscape has shifted irreversibly. By exposing contract details, Si Hyuk has opened a floodgate that cannot be closed. The tension between Jungkook's compromise and Taehyung's rejection is no longer an internal matter. It is a global debate dissected by fans, critics, and industry insiders alike. What was once whispered in private is now shouted in public, and the pressure grows heavier with every passing day. The lingering fear is clear. Will this divide deepen beyond repair? Jungkook may carry on under the weight of his agreement, but Taehyung's refusal raises the possibility of permanent separation. For a group that built its legacy on unity, the symbolism of one member signing while another rejects cannot be ignored. It is a fracture written in ink and silence, a battle fought not with words, but with choices that carry the weight of destiny. As the dust continues to settle, one truth remains unshakable. This revelation is not the end, but the beginning of an unraveling story. Si Hyuk's disclosure has given the world a glimpse into the machinery that drives BTS, but the questions it raises are far larger than any contract. Will Jungkook find peace under terms that bind him? Will Taehyung's refusal spark a wave of change? Or will both decisions mark the slow collapse of a bond once thought unbreakable? The industry watches, the fans weep, and the silence from within grows louder. Jungkook's path is now tied to a contract that demands his all. Taehyung's future is carved by his refusal to bend. And Si Hyuk's truth, once revealed, cannot be erased. The world waits for the next move, caught in the tension between loyalty and freedom, obedience and defiance. One final question echoes louder than ever. Is this the moment that defines the future of BTS, or the moment that ends it? The deeper one looks, the clearer it becomes that this situation is not only about contracts, but about identity. Jungkook's willingness to remain under the system reflects a painful compromise, choosing stability over confrontation. Taehyung's refusal, on the other hand, is not merely rebellion. It is a cry for change, a demand for recognition beyond profit and control. Together, their opposing decisions reveal a fracture that speaks volumes about the imbalance of power between artists and the industry that claims to support them. Speculation intensifies when considering how long these internal negotiations have been kept hidden from the public eye. Insiders suggest that the debate around Jungkook's contract had already created sharp disagreements months before it became public. If that is true, then Si Hyuk's sudden disclosure is far from accidental. By presenting the truth now, when emotions are at their peak, the revelation destabilizes not only BTS's unity, but also the trust between the company and its global audience. For many armies, the emotional wound cuts deeper because it shatters the image of unbreakable brotherhood. BTS has always been portrayed as 7 men standing together against the odds, but the reality now appears harsher. Individual choices, personal battles, and divergent priorities are breaking through the facade. Jungkook and Taehyung, once celebrated for their unshakable bond, now stand on opposite sides of a line drawn by contracts and resistance. The silence from the other members only adds to the unease. Are they silently enduring the same pressure? Did they face the same offers, the same impossible choices? And if so, why has only Jungkook moved forward while Taehyung openly refused? The absence of answers fuels suspicion that more conflicts remain hidden, waiting for the right moment to erupt. This is the haunting reality that fans must now confront. Loyalty is no longer a simple matter of love for music or brotherhood. It is a battlefield where survival collides with resistance, where signing a contract can be seen as both an act of loyalty and an act of submission. Jungkook's decision cannot be judged lightly, nor can Taehyung's refusal be dismissed. Both reflect the crushing weight of a system that demands everything while giving little in return. What makes the revelation truly explosive is not only the contract itself, but the fact that Bang Si Hyuk allowed it to be seen. By bringing the issue to light, he has shifted the battle from closed doors to public scrutiny. And once truth enters the public arena, it cannot be controlled. Every word, every gesture, every silence from Jungkook and Taehyung will now be dissected under the harshest spotlight imaginable.